Hey guys, I was over the weekend have a look on Kubernetes security and I was studying the topic and reading about it. So I found this video for the what comes out of the box of Kubernetes default installation, and I found out that was very interesting. So I thought, why not try to automate these tips? And I actually implemented two of them. It's like a POC to check how this could be implemented. I know there are some tools in the market that actually does it very well, but I want to do some hands-on exercise and try to have a look how this could be implemented. So in short, what it does, it has a CLI, and the CLI is going to run some validations, and we actually have two validations, a validation for the default namespace and a validation for exposed control plane. I'm going to say something about it in a little more details later on. So right now, just to be short, this is a short example what this tool is doing. So I have a pod that's running on their default namespace, and that's not a good practice. And then here it's explain why briefly, and then you have this link here that sends you to a longer description, and here are the details why this is not a good practice. And the same for exposed control plane. It says you should not have a public API for the control plane. It should not be exposed to the internet. And that's basically it. So regarding the code, it starts here in the CLI. And just to be sure, this is the logger setup. And there is a way to organize the issues that were collected. This is temporary, just to have something short to show, and this is going to do the validations and appending that to the map, and then at the end we just for loop the map and say, hey, these are the issues that we found. So what interesting here is that here we are like connecting to Kubernetes in these steps, and then this is like Kubernetes library. There is nothing here. But something that is very interesting here is that I implemented this interface. So when I call this constructor, it's going to require a Kubernetes interface. And I accept anyone that implements that interface. So in this case, I just instantiated this client set. And I know this client set implements the core v1 method, and that's what I need in this case. So, but why that? Why do I need that? Because I want to unit test. I want to make it loose couple, and that means I can pass anything that implements that interface, that function for that interface. And then that's where it comes to be interesting, because we are actually here, key 8s for Kubernetes inside internal. Then we have this test. And for the test for the constructor, what we are using here is something that is pretty awesome, because Kubernetes library provides this fake. This comes from the client Go, that's the Kubernetes library, and they provide this fake package, and this package provide like a fake connection, and that's pretty cool, because now this fake connection implement the core v1 function, and then I can use this fake client to run some tests that's not connecting to my cluster, but is connecting to a fake implementation of the Golang library for Kubernetes. So why that's so cool? Because it's not really connecting to the cluster. and you have total control over what you're doing with Kubernetes. For example, I think here I'm not creating any research, but in the next step, yeah. So here is the validation for the namespace. And what I'm doing here is that I'm telling, hey, I want to create like a fake pod, and these are the details of my pod. Like I can say, hey, this is the image, here's the name of the pod, and I can also add some labels here, and that's pretty cool. I can say the current status of the pod. That's cool. Then I actually can fake create this resource based on the parameters that I pass. So in this example, every test that's running here, it's going to create a pod based on my definition, and it's not really creating the pod in the cluster, but creating the pod inside the fake library. And that's basically it. It's a full pod that the library think it's running, but it's running like a fake site, like a fake instance, a fake pod. And then I can run some validations. I can, for example, change the status here for, instead of pod running, it could be, I don't know, like pod fail, for example. And then I can check in my validation if pod is failing, do that, or do some kind of validation. And that's basically it. So there are other scenarios here, because you're also checking for the public IP of the control plane node. We are checking if it's a public IP or not. Then we are also creating some nodes here, and we are assigning some IP address for the node. And then we can validate if it's going to pass, it's going to show some error, it's going to fail. And that's pretty cool. So that's all I have. I just want to share that, and I hope you will like. Thank you.